Good. And then we'll see how this stuff works. Also, yeah, peer groups of age mates that are durable and involve interactions based on an established set of social relationships. So it could be sports. Did you play any sports? Never?
Seriously, no. But my brother is like a really good sportsman, actually.
Really?
He's doing canoeing.
Canoeing?
Yeah, like professional one.
Oh, is that like
The boats, but only with one.
Okay.
Pretty hard sport, I should say.
I would imagine, yeah. Okay. And then cooperative activities can degrease negative social behaviors that sometimes emerge in groups. So that's kind of where I am with my stuff. Um, let's make sure I got everything that I need. Interesting. Okay. See if this all works. Okay. There are three types of friends. Oh yeah, we read this one last time. Your best friend, your enemy that you keep close to you. That's right. And then we also have to do it in Russian. I just remembered. Cool. This I can do. Oh no, just start us all the way over, kind of, maybe. Social dimension. Peer groups. So, crucial to a healthy development. Boys have larger social networks, girls have more close friends, and then relational aggression. Is that true in Russia?
We discussed it last time.
Yeah, I don't know why it put me back on this slide. That's weird. Friends that are, oh yeah, opposites attract. Peer relations and child development. So, poor peer relations associated with discomfort, anxiety, and a general unwillingness to engage the environment. Children master their aggressive impulses within the context of peer relations. I remember saying sexual socialization cannot take place in the absence of peer interaction. Although nowadays we do have the internet, so that changes some things. Just a little bit. But you would have to do like live streaming or video chat for, it's different.
I guess because teenagers were too old to rediscover sports.
That's true. Yes. So with teenagers, the screen's still blocking a little bit. Let's go to the edge. There we go. Peer relations are regulated or related to role taking ability, empathy, and moral reasoning. So if you like to do a lot of drugs, drink a lot of beer, and smoke a lot of weed, you might hang out with friends that do a lot of drugs, smoke a lot of weed, and drink a lot of beer. If you like to do service work and help out at the church, you might hang out with friends. Oh, I didn't see that. Interesting. Can I just close it? That's so weird. Also, did it translate okay?
Yes.
Does it look?
Translated weed. That's the only thing that should
What does weed translate to? Like smoking marijuana
like,
or?
grassy, like.
Oh yeah, ganja,
Uh,
tetrahydrocannabinols, THC. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Children who are rejected by their peers are at greater risk for school dropout. We covered that too. Is why would you want to go to school if you hated it? And then friendships are crucial because they provide opportunities for learning social skills. See if I can go to the next one. I don't think we finished this entire slide. It's interesting. It's almost at a disk space. I don't know if that's my computer or if it's this thing. Let's see. I might have to escape because it's acting funny. It won't move anywhere. That's not good. Is that just because I have too many things open? Probably. So anyway, as it takes a while to move on, what are some of the things you think might be different in Russia compared to the United States? In like peer groups and stuff.
I'm not sure because I was not in like American high school or something like that.
That's true. Okay.
But we were in high school, and I guess we don't have such a strong, connection. You don't have such strong connection between children because you have like different classes, and you attend different classes with different people. And in Russia, you have like the same class from the first to the 11th year of your education. So you have like these 30 people that you know for 11 years. And on the one hand, it gives you an ability to build good relationship, but if from the beginning of the relationship are bad, you are just bullied for 11 years by the same people.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad and good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. On here, you see 3 parental discipline strategies: the power assertive, love withdrawal, and induction.
Withdrawal is like when you don't need anything back.
Yeah, it's almost like I won't love you till you eat all of your vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of messed up. So it says love withdrawal is associated with excessive anxiety in children. Because, like, if you're not going to eat your vegetables, how do you earn the love? And it's like, it might be better to phrase it like, no matter what, I feel excited for you to eat the vegetables because it's good for you and you'll live a long time. So that's kind of the difference where it would, instead of like,
It's opposite of unconditional
right, yes. So saying I only love you if you get straight A's, and that's just
love. You need
ridiculous.
to achieve as well.
Right. So the last one is induction is an important parental strategy because it helps children develop internal moral standards, and that's like again having a kid induce, like what love looks like and learning how to figure things out for themselves and giving them free will and to choose if they want to eat their vegetables or not. Let's see if this works. Okay, it is. So effective parenting training programs, either the last 3 slides, but behavior modification, social learning. So that's right. We used reinforcement, punishment, extinction. That's what we watched a video on the other day, and withdrawal. And these different life changes. So stressors that occur with divorce, we did cover all of those, if you remember. It might be weird to watch your parents remarry. And I feel like it's missing something up top there, but I guess, well, yeah, it is. It's missing schools. So it should say schools, there it is. Schools 5 standards that promote positive learning outcomes with students. So joint productive activity, language and literacy development. So learning how to teach them,
Express this stuff.
yeah, how to write things, also giving them context or such as connecting school to students' lives. Like you want to learn how to write well so you can be a good social worker and write good notes and treat your subjects perfectly. Also, challenging activities. So if they're bored all the time, they just like want to go somewhere else. And I feel like that's why I do try to give challenging subject matter because students already are checked out. And then if we don't give you something interesting, it's boring. So they'll just sit there texting the whole time or not pay attention. So I try to give something that's a little bit shocking, sometimes with addiction or alcoholism or the dramatic family. Aces with like paper tigers, that's kind of a dramatic video. And it's pertinent to our real lives. Like that's stuff that has happened in our life and it makes us think about it. And then having conversations. So like last Thursday, we had a lot of us in here so we could dialogue. That helped. We don't have as many today, but let's see who's on here. No, nobody. They'll watch it later, right? That's what they'll do.
Yeah.
Of course.
Do check if anybody will watch it later.
I check if you do your homework.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I got it.
Because if you don't do your homework, you can't pass. But if you're good at doing homework without showing up and watching it later, you can watch it on the last day of class and do all of your homework, and I still would pass
You're a very loyal teacher.
you. Not everybody does that, but I know that some people like to do their work at the 11th hour, the very end of the semester and the very end of the day. So that's okay. Barriers that low-income minority students face in the system. So they have low parent and teacher expectations for school performance, although some of them said that wasn't totally true. And they also have lack of culturally relevant materials. And I've seen that here. Like sometimes we've gotten more lately, but most of the stuff we teach is related to um, kind of Caucasian experiences in America, truly. So
I guess just still experiences in America, so it can't divide them.
right, yeah. So it's not even culturally relevant to you. So it's mostly like experiences of 1/20th of the world population inside of America. And that's small. It's like a very small world that we live in. It's okay, but it is definitely limited. So, um, oh wow. What chapter was this one on? It was like 6, and now I need to find 7. It's in here, but I don't know where it is. Do you know which classes you'll take next semester?
Yes, unfortunately, I guess there will not be social work because it doesn't mention the schedule.
Oh,
But
right.
there will be a lot of art classes.
Well, if you choose to, you can be one of these online people that just watches like that. So if you're bored and want to get extra hours, but if it doesn't count for back home, then don't worry about it. Hello, how are you? Good. So now we are in adolescence. This is like kind of
Late teenagers, beginning of like young adults.
really even through your 20s. Yeah,
Oh, that's us.
it is. Well, here it is. There's early adolescence, middle adolescence, and late adolescence. So up until you graduate from college, and nowadays they're even saying until you're 29, because many people live in their parents' basement until they're 30.
And then they die. What happens in their 30s?
So this is the $1,000,000 question. This is mostly because we live longer, but early adolescence begins at puberty. So from like 10 to 13. And they've said women are now getting their period a lot earlier, like 5th grade or 10 years old, because of milk having RGBH hormone in it. So the milk we drink has bovine growth hormone, and it kind of makes you develop faster. So you get everything, like to be able to have a child, or like as young as 10 and 11, which is crazy. So that's puberty. And there are children that have had children at that age, which is crazy. So early adolescence begins early. Middle adolescence is kind of like your middle years in high school. So it's stereotypically adolescence is 14 to 16, like you said. But nowadays it extends into your 20s, so 17 to 22. In the old days, by this age, you could go fight a war and be a full adult at the age of 17 and have kids and have a family. Nobody does that anymore. So,
Nobody.
no,
Less people do.
right. Well, so you are correct. In the state of Kentucky, you can marry at the age of 14 or 15. You
Like,
can be
without your
married.
parents agreeing?
I think you do need a parent, I'm pretty sure, unless if you get emancipated. So that's the one challenging thing. You can become, most people get emancipated like 16 or 17. But you're allowed to legally marry in some states at 14, 15, or 16. That might be because of teenage pregnancies, and the
Yes.
parents are like, you guys need to get married because you had a kid. Not the best way to handle it, but that's still how they kind of handle it. So you have your growth spurt, if you remember, height and weight. Girls are usually bigger than boys until about like what age do you remember being bigger than boys until?
Yes, and
So like 12 maybe? Is that? There probably is like 12. So that's what they're showing here. Girls, you'll have a growth spurt at age 10 and it goes until you're 12. Boys don't have a growth spurt until they're 12. So usually the girls are bigger by then for at least 2 years. And that's just like kind of natural development. Puberty is your growth spurt. You have the maturation of physiological mechanisms, secondary sex characteristics. So that would be like breasts for women, pubic hair, armpit hair. What else? I guess facial hair. Um, your period. I would think that that would be, some of this stuff. For boys, production of sperm. I forget what age that's at actually. Maybe 12 or 13, boys start producing sperm. There's hair growth in pubic areas underneath arms, chest, face, shoulders, and back. You have development of sex organs, so your skin becomes rougher. You have sweat glands that increase production, so boys smell. I don't know if girls smell as bad as boys, but boys smell really bad. And let's see. Girls have the production of eggs. So one interesting thing is when you are born, you have all the eggs you'll ever carry with you. So like your mom, and if she carries you, she's also carrying her granddaughter at the same time. Because your egg is in there with your grandma carrying your mom and carrying you, if that makes sense.
You like matryoshka.
What's that?
There is a Russian doll called matryoshka. It's like a doll inside a doll.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
I bought that for my daughter for Christmas last year. That same doll. So we'll see if we can translate this back into Russian.
Straight to Russia.
Yes. That's weird. Now it's not working, it looks like. But anyway. So development of sex organs for women. Same thing. Hair growth in pubic areas underneath arms, a slight amount of facial hair. Skin becomes rougher, sweat glands increase production, but I don't think they smell as bad as boys. Sometimes, but not always. Slight enlargement of breasts, known as breast buds. So that's like, I guess at 12, that's like the age of 12. Primary sex characteristics. Did we just go over this? That's so weird. It is acting funny, but it's at least showing you this. Girls have menarche, which is the cycle of shedding uterine lining 2 weeks after ovulation, which I know we started the class on this, so it's almost going back full circle to, because I was showing you the Creighton method that we actually just learned. So this is supposed to be like a way to know your body and to know your cycle and to know, I mean, that's essentially what a period is. So your whole entire uterus is going out of your system. There's like the uterine lining, and that's what the blood is. Boys have nocturnal emissions. Do you guys know what that is? It's called wet dreams. Have you ever? So like at night they'll have a dream of like making a baby with a woman, and then they wake up in the morning with like stuff all over them. Like, what the heck just happened? They also have facial hair that may go unnoticed. I don't know what that means. I mean, I guess that means you don't really shave it, even though you have.
Some boys have like, 3 hairs here, 5 hairs.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. I still have that because I swear it was because I took ADHD medication, something like that, and it like affected. I only grow facial hair like here, and that's it. So.
If you think that you have ADHD, do you go to a psychologist or?
When I was a kid, I did.
What kind of doctor?
It was psychologist back then. Now you can go to a social worker for that. Yeah, for therapy. They can't prescribe medication. That's the only difference.
And here, the closest one is our mental health.
Correct. Yep. And there, they'll probably have somebody that could prescribe you medication. Yeah. Okay. Here's this stat I was telling you guys before. So in the onset of puberty is getting earlier over the past 100 years. So in the 1840s, it was 17. Now it's 11 and a half. And I was saying that some research is showing because of bovine growth hormone, like they give this to the cows to produce more milk, and the bovine growth is faster, is being passed on to like children when we drink milk or take dairy that's not certified organic. So the hormones, but both men and women produce estrogen and testosterone just at different levels. So it's produced about a year before the changes in a body and sex organs are visible. So that's more, that would probably be more for women, I think. Because men already have everything when they're born. They have the testicles, they have the whole setup. But here's the hormone differences during puberty. So for testosterone, boys spike way up. Girls, you still do get a little bit more testosterone, but for boys, it's like straight up, and that's why they're like aggressive and crazy and maybe even sexual. And estrogen, not so much with boys. I mean, a little bit. And then with girls, clearly. And that also determines your cyclical shedding of the uterine lining. So, like, the egg passes through the fallopian tube, goes, if it is impregnated, or if a sperm attaches, it'll attach to the uterine wall and then close off, and then the baby. But if no sperm attaches, it all goes out and leaves the system. So the biophysical strengths and hazards. So early and late matures. If early a boy matures early, it is usually they're more athletic, more successful. Sometimes they have successful peer relationships and they're more confident. This is interesting. Tell me if it's true in Russia. If a girl matures early, sometimes they have behaviors and academic problems or body image satisfaction. So, like if a girl is young and has large breasts or quickly matures, the research is showing that a girl maturing early is not as good as a boy maturing early. Does that make any sense?
I guess just because it is visual, and when you're not like the rest of the people in your social circle, you're like, oh, it is something wrong with me.
Right, like all the girls see you and you've got to wear a bra or whatever, and they're like, oh my God. And then the boys are maybe attracted to you, so then they're jealous or something of that nature.
Being different is it's never something easy.
Right. Strangely, though, for boys, I guess it's because they're more aggressive. It's almost like the testosterone makes them.
I'm the main boy.
Right, yeah. So that's one interesting thing in the research. So they do give us good research. Now, brain development, I forget what this word means, so I may have to look it up. But the biolumization continues through adolescence. Really, your brain is still developing until you're an adult. So that's why they say don't drink too much or smoke too much weed in teenage years because your brain is still developing. So it's hard to get full perfect formation of your especially frontal cortex, they say, that makes the risky decisions, helps you with risky decisions. Emotions, judgment, and problem solving are still developing. So if you're drinking and smoking a bunch, you don't get perfect development of that. Some common health concerns, your nutrition needs will increase. In America, it's obesity. Do they have obesity problems in people too fat?
Not as big as here.
So we have just too much sugar and carbohydrates.
Your fat and sugar products are really cheap, and in Russia they're not so cheap. So it is cheaper to eat more
vegetables.
I don't want to say healthy meal, but it is different forages.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's interesting. I mean, it's a good observation because this is causing a health epidemic. It's killing us very young.
It is a big stereotype that America has.
Yeah. I think the most recent stats are that let me think about this. More than 50% of our states are obese. Ohio is one of the worst. So the states in the mid of the country without beaches or mountains to go exercise in or whatever, they have more obesity problems. It can also cause acne. That's another common health concern. So is this the same in Russia? 80% of adolescents get acne?
Yes.
And then they give you medicine for it or stuff to.
Most of the time, sometimes they prescribe medicine for girls in the pills.
Okay.
To
Oh, that's right. Do you think the acne is still a problem in America? That's what I'm wondering. For like people of your, is it just as much in the African American community as you think it is in the Caucasian community?
Not sure.
I know. I don't know. That's like one question I don't really.
Usually people in Russia are much lighter than me, so they always told me like, "Oh, you have a darker skin, so you can't see like on your face or like it."
Okay.
It's like, they still exist, you know.
Right. Yeah. Because you still get like pimples or like I mean I got stuff and you're right they would give you like either an antibiotic and you're right for women they would give you the pill which
Because
is
sometimes acne causes like hormones and hormones they can regulate hormones. It really may help, but it doesn't help like all the time.
do they give the pill in America still for girls that like get bad acne? Do you know?
I'm not too sure. I never really read.
Right. I don't know either. That's I know with boys.
Like in the many films about America, they show like the girls go for her pills just because of the
Right. Yeah. But it can also cause sexual activity sooner and earlier, and the pill doesn't always work, so you get pregnant. So it's like, oh shit. Also, there's dysmenorrhea, which is cramping during menstruation. So some people have horrible cramps, where it's like paralyzing. Yes, and so bad they won't come to class. So it's just like terrible, and that's part of it. And when you are in your age development area, you need that much sleep. That's a lot. I don't get that much sleep. The older you get, the less you need. So when you're like 30, it's like 8. When you're 40, it's like 7. When you're 50, it's like 6. When you're 60, or like by the time you hit 80, you only need 4 hours of sleep because your body's not growing. You might be tired all the time, but really sleep is when like your brain development happens, when you're growing and getting muscles and regenerating stuff. So babies need the most. Babies grow the most, babies need the most, like 16 hours. Cognitive development. So Piaget, I'm only going to get us halfway through these today. So what are we at? Okay. We're at 10, we're a third of the way through. So cognitive development, Piaget has the formal operational stage. So this is where you can have abstract thought, hypothetical deductive reasoning, like possibilities of what you'll do in life. You do hypothesis testing. You could even have future thought, like who do I want to marry? What kind of family do I want to have? What do I want to do when I grow up? You can even think about your thoughts, like philosophizing, and then have expansion of thought. So just like people journal and you write things and you have creative ideas. So by late adolescence, 60% use formal operations. Here's the question for you guys. Is this really a universal stage of adolescence? Does everybody experience this, do you think?
I think it depends on the circumstances because somebody can be adolescents early because of the hard life and they like just miss this and be like almost adults when they're young. For example, parents dead, you need to be parents for young children. You're an adult at 14. Or sometimes when it is like parents are hyper like concerned about children, and you can live in the basement till 30, don't know how to do the dishes, how to cook.
Right.
So
Yeah.
your adolescence might be prolonged up to whatever.
That's true. It's
For normal situations, that's like this.
Right.
Other circumstances.
Okay. Yeah. You guys still know people that live into their parents' house until they're super old? Or have like 3 generations in the same household even? Okay. Yep. Especially now as it's so expensive to buy or rent a house or a place to live. That makes it harder. So it's really hard to have your own space. And like there's just not that much space. We have more. I think we're 1 million houses short in America. So, like, based off immigration, the number of people coming into the country, we are very short on housing. We don't have enough houses. You guys might have the same problem. I don't know.
Yeah, especially big cities are experiencing this because people from little cities are coming there. Nobody have like ideas what to do in the small cities or nearby countries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how to earn enough money to buy an apartment in Russia in a legal way without
Right.
having like a really big housing loan.
It's easier to like sell weed to buy an apartment.
Yes.
Really. Yeah. It might be true in America
Otherwise,
too.
it is like 20, 30 years of paying the loan. And
Yep.
the percent in Russia starts like from 12%, and it is
Oh.
like a very small loan. Usually they're even higher. So you can imagine how bad the situation is.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're seeing it in America too, where we've brought interest rates so low that we can't raise our interest rate. If we did, the whole economy would collapse. Because we have $17 trillion of a national deficit.
Deficit?
Our national deficit is
It's like
seven.
a debt.
It's a debt.
To whom?
It's usually the Federal Reserve, which is weird because the Federal Reserve in America is not federal government. It's a compilation of like 10 different banks. So really all the banks own our country. And I think that's the difference between the East. What's that?
Capitalism.
Right.
Banks earn the country.
But I feel like in Russia, they've refused Western banking. Like they've not let Bank of America, Chase Bank, JP Morgan, all of those banks into Russia because what they tend to do is take over the country.
So we have like our own bank.
Yeah, which is good though, because that means Russia has their own land, their own property. It's not owned by these national corporations that own everything in the world.
Have our own national corporations.
Right, yeah. And we are indebted to several systems. Some argue that we're indebted enough to the Chinese that we might actually have an easy Chinese takeover of America. And that's mainly because some are saying, like, all these fields you see that get plowed for corn and for soy, the parts are only made in China. And right now, with the shipping crisis, they're saying China may not release those parts. So if the food machines break down, China could say, okay, we'll give you the part, but you have to give us half of your food. And if half of our food is gone, how do you feed your own country if half of your food is gone? So that's one of the things that is a national security issue. And hopefully, I think they're still manufacturing in Russia, right? They make their own stuff.
Yes, but it's getting worse.
Okay. They just don't have big machines like we do as much, these huge machines. So, did I skip something? Basically, it's about communication. So, when you're older, you understand metaphors, you even understand satire and sarcasm. You write meaningful things. So, as a social worker, there's confidentiality issues more because if you're seeing a 16-year-old and their parents want to know what's going on, it's hard to know what to keep confidential from the parents and serve your 16 or 17-year-old client well, and then what to tell the parents and serve them well. So, they're more connected, and then social workers need to understand the social and legal aspects of communicating consent and confidentiality to adolescents. So normally we say the um, everything's confidential unless if you're a harm to self or others, and we usually honor that. We always honor that with adults. Now with kids, it's a little trickier because they are under, like, if the parents request your notes, they could like look at your notes because they're the legal guardian of the kids. Another thing that comes up is like your attitudes and emotions, and as a teenager, maybe even up to your age, you guys are learning emotional regulation, like how not to go off on somebody or how to freak out on your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever is going on. So the storm and stress myths, your self-esteem is in your age. Well, just before you got here, your self-esteem was at the lowest point ever in your life in early adolescence because you're like, what am I going to do in the world? How am I going to make something? And so most emerge from adolescence with the same amount of self-esteem they had at the beginning. So you like kind of have good self-esteem at 12, 13. It goes way down. You're like, I suck at life. And then it comes back and you're like, I can go to college and graduate. You also may have mood swings with greater highs and lows than adults do. Like it's just more dramatic because maybe I should say why you guys think that is. I wonder if it's because you're not fully independent. You have to borrow money from your parents sometimes, or you have to work at low paying jobs. You have to work more often. I don't know. I'm just putting out ideas.
Feeling that you have your own place, so you're feeling somehow homeless, like anything could happen and you just be anywhere.
Yeah.
I can go home to my parents, but I can have an argument with them and they will say like, get out of here. So you don't have like confidence.
Right. It's definitely something that I could see coming up for sure. So mood swings. You also could have, if you guys knew anybody in foster care. Do you have any friends or family or anybody? And they say they had low self-esteem related to sometimes they've been placed a few times or like at a foster care home, so they don't know where they're going to live at all. Like not only not have their parents, but they don't know if they'll get placed at the next location tomorrow.
It's me, why you are facing
Mm-hmm.
never lose confidence.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the last few slides you're getting here, because where are we at? 36. So identity and interdependence, or like your identity and independence. That's one of the things. Um, so connectedness with adolescence, respect and openness to others' views, connectedness to parents promotes individuation and identity development. Individuation, autonomy, so separateness and self assertion. You learn that separateness is the expression of an individual's distinct self from others. So, this is kind of what you're getting as you grow older. Self assertion refers to adolescents' expression of their viewpoints and clear communication. And the last one is one thing here is Hispanic adolescents, more like interdependence and independence. So they have more of a family commitment, maybe have that generational housing. They're more likely to live together and have like grandma and mom and dad and everybody. So the last slide, let's go with egocentrism. So you'll have egocentric thought, preoccupation with thoughts, feelings, or behavior. You're like more self-conscious. This is the Erickson. You sometimes think you have an imaginary audience even. Like I feel like more when you're 17, 18, you're fighting with your parents. You're like dramatic and you feel like you have an audience watching you, but it's just you and your parents. So you're like more dramatic, but you don't even really have to be because nobody's watching you really. But you think there's an imaginary audience, is kind of what they're saying. Also, personal fable, it skipped. So I am stopping on 15, which is here. Do you guys have any questions up to here? We'll get into the mental health disorders on Thursday, but there's a lot of adolescent. That's when it comes out a lot. So like depression, suicide is the third leading cause of death. Average onset of depression is 13 to 15 years of age. And then all the other externalizing problems. So a quarter of them are referred for delinquency or conduct problems. So that's like kind of how we regulate in America. And then normative delinquency peaks at like 16 because you're almost a year and a half from being 18 then. It's higher in boys and ethnic minorities. Younger delinquents are riskier. So like Our agency had a homeless shelter from 13 to 18 and also one from 18 to 24. And then when the deviant behavior occurs at early ages, the problem is seen as conduct disorder. And then family intervention is important at that point. So I know, oh yeah, was any of you guys presenting today or this week for your major mental health disorder? I just wanted to check. Cool. And you can also film it on YouTube Live. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew those options. And that's all that I have for today, believe it or not.